Good evening, everyone. Hi, I am Manoj Deshmukh. I am a telecom security engineer at Jio. Today we'll talk basically about how attackers breaks the Kubernetes and how we can secure our Kubernetes in a real world scenarios. So I'm going to give you some of the real world scenario, how might an attacker attack Kubernetes and how he can get compromise your Kubernetes. Uh, Today agenda is why Kubernetes security is more important and what are the issues during build, deploy, and runtime. So common Kubernetes misconfiguration done during the deployment, and we'll see a real world attack scenarios and post-compromise actions, what are the post-compromise actions, and we'll go with the security tools and list and Q&A. So tell me why Kubernetes is so important to us. So because our today main topic is about Kubernetes. Everyone is coming here and talking about Kubernetes. We are doing this in Kubernetes. We are doing that in Kubernetes. So you can see whole stalls right there, like people are like marketing their tools based on Kubernetes. So everyone is evolving beyond the Kubernetes because it is more reliable. So and also it is rapid adoption and it has shared responsibilities. So we need to take care of, we have developer teams develop the code and DevOps team deploys it, and in between security teams comes and need to test it. So there are like a gap between everything. So we need to take care of security for a Kubernetes as seriously. So when we talk about Kubernetes, there has been a Tesla hack, and basically you can tell that there was unauthenticated dashboard. So right now you can tell, Manoj, everything security is evolving in every step. So how can you tell that there will be unauthenticated dashboard? Even right now, if you go to Shodan, and if you search for Kubernetes and what are the like unauthenticated dashboard, you will get 31. So there are 31 dashboard unauthenticated. Who knows like whose it belongs to? It might be belongs to a bigger companies. We don't know. So every stage developers or DevOps team make some mistakes, some misconfiguration that security team need to be taken care of. So what are the main issues during build, deploy, runtime? So what are the issues during the build? So code from untrusted registries. So basically while developers develop the code, they don't know, like they'll directly copy from unknown sources and they directly paste it. So we can't trust those codes. And also blotted base images. So what are the security issues during deployment? So granting unnecessary privileges, failure to isolation applications in cluster. So basically you will have a cluster where like multiple teams been working on the cluster. So there should be a segregation between the namespace. So if it isn't the case, the developer also can access like marketing or like accounts. So it's not supposed to be a case. So what will be other thing? Lateral motion within the cluster, unauthorized access and improper RBAC. So what will be the during runtime, infrastructure attacks and complexity. So what are the common misconfigurations? Exposed Kubernetes dashboard. So basically what DevOps teams does is they don't put authentication to Kubernetes dashboard, but they'll implement the role RBAC and it will keep as an inside like internal dashboard. But what happens if someone gain an access to a pod or an internal server? So he'll directly get an unauthenticated dashboard where there won't be any security. So insecure role-based, over privileges service accounts, misconfigured contain where like having privileged or running a container as a root or having a host path, and unrestricted network policies, insecure Helm charts, hard-coded secrets in image or code. Also in Kubernetes, like it don't, like basically it's just an encode of your secret. It does, like you can basically decode what are the secrets has been stored in Kubernetes, right? So we'll come to real world attack scenarios. These are my own case studies. I have been looking for like from past 1.5 years, 2 years, like what are the chances of attacker get inside your clusters. First one is also already told you, unauthenticated Kubernetes APIs or dashboard. So what basically happens, like development teams directly take a Kubernetes as a part of it and they'll like implemented as a default thing. So they don't take care of what are the ports being opened, what are the roles being assigned to the person who is like working as an admin or who is working as some least privileged user. What are the, like they don't basically go with what are the roles has been assigned, whether this person has proper roles, whether this person has overprivileged roles, no one checks. And also, attacker can scan on the API or the endpoint directly using Kubant, and he will get lot of information like like where exactly the dashboard, what are the namespaces are there, and what is the impact. So full control of cluster, claiming an admin privileges. Even I have a scenarios where like there is an unauthenticated API, but it is secured with the limited RBAC. But you can bypass it by creating your own pod. So where you will create your own pod with root and host path added, and you will become an admin. So these are the unauthenticated dashboards and API as well. So where you can access everything. So directly you just need to add -n and the URL. So you'll get all the list of pods running, services running, secrets running, deployment. So you can see here are the list. So also I can be able to log into those pods. So I can do an exec to pod and directly go inside the pod, and I can read what is the code base, what are the secrets has been stored. So also there will be a services running on the Kubernetes cluster, obviously. So where sometimes the DevOps teams might not add any external IP address. So what you do in that case? So basically I'll do, since I have access to list the pod and get the pod, so I can do simply just port forward to my local IP address. So once I do that, I'll get the dashboard access. Since it is an internally hosted application, though I'm able to see what is the application has been hosted in my local. So since I have access to their entire cluster, I can go and read their secrets, and I can use those credentials over this application, and again can log in easily to the application. So another case study, vulnerable in web applications. So basically, a developer builds an application, he won't be aware of what vulnerabilities are there in his code, and they'll without checking what are the security practices, they'll just implement the code in the production or something. So where like if you get RC or server-side request forgery or LFI vulnerabilities, basically consider you got LFI. So what I'll try to do, I'll try to go and fetch kubeconfig file. So if I get access to a kubeconfig file, what can I do? I can directly log into a Kubernetes cluster using the kubeconfig file. So and also I can escapes the pod, and I can directly log into a container to using privileged and host paths. Case study 3. So everyone talks about like CI/CD tools, Argo CD. So does anyone know like using Argo CD we can get into a Kubernetes cluster? You can tell me that Argo CD is just a middleman between the GitHubs and what you'll tell Kubernetes, right? So where exactly the GitHub will be having a repository, and Argo CD will pick up that deployment, and it will deploy in the Kubernetes. So what if I do? I'll write I got an access somehow I got an access to Argo CD. So what can I do? So basically what I'll do, I'll go to settings, and I'll add my GitHub repository in there. I'll basically add my entire credentials, and I'll add my URL right there. So and I'll configure my GitHub repository to the particular which I compromise the Argo CD. What I'll do, I'll write my own deployment where I'll be adding my own root image which will have a root access, and also I'll add mount path, and also I'll add host path as root. So basically what it gives me, once I log into the particular pod or a reverse shell to the pod, I can directly gain access to node. So directly once I gain a node access, I'll be able to access multiple files from the DevOps team. So and case study 4, privilege escalation via custom pod deployment. Even previously I'm telling, so if you got an access to one of the pod, so you are not able to go further. So it's like you are bounded with multiple security issues or like role-based everything. But one thing is you can create your own pod. What you can do? So you can create a pod with highest privileges. Try to see what, like we have, consider this. There are 4 teams working on Kubernetes. There is one AI team and developers team and some other team is working. So basically AI teams needed some admin privileges. They given admin privileges for that particular service account. So you need to test and you need to create a pod in all three, using all three service account, testing who has more access to it. So might be, thank you. Sometimes what happens mostly, some of the service account might have admin accounts too. So where you can go and log in. So this is one of the example. You can use mount path and you can use host path as / where you can directly get as a root access. Case study 5 will talk about post-access exploitation. What might goes wrong once someone gains access to your pod or a cluster. So he can get secrets, access to config maps, might be some DevOps team might be hard-coded credentials into your YAML files. He can read that. And I can check roles, role bindings, and I can impersonate, and I can see multiple service accounts. So if it comes, consider that particular Kubernetes hosted in GKE or AWS OpenShift. So what I can do, I can use their local IP address and I can communicate to their cloud. So, and also privilege escalation. So escape pod or container using host path, and service discovery, list what are the service. Since you are inside the pod, so you can communicate with multiple pods. You can run an nmap scan and you can see what are the IPs been running inside the cluster. So since you are already into the Kubernetes network, so you'll be having access to other pods too, and you can check what are the ports been running internally. So whether I can gain an access to another neighbor pod, so you can check that too. And what is real danger is total compromise, lateral movement, and cloud takeover too. So case study, so these are some of the commands where you can run once you get access to someone's pod. So you can check print env. So in environment variables, you might get some credentials to their database. And also you can check what are the roles you have currently, the one pod which you gain access to. So you can check if you don't have an access, so check for service token. What are the service, what is the services, what are the roles has been assigned to your service token. And you can run a nmap scan for checking kubelet API or etcd2 where it is running, whether it is authenticated or not, and you can directly access them. And you can directly check kubectl get pods if they have given permission to your pod. And you can find anything related to kube, and you can find kubeconfig file, kubelet, and gain node access. So this is one of the example. So when you gain an access to a certain pod, so you can check the token of service token. So based on service token, you check what are the rules has been assigned to this particular token. Using that token, whether it has some IS privileges, use them to evade that. And here you can do a curl to a neighbor pod. So this is one of the pod running with some other website. So you can directly curl it since you are inside the pod. And you can list the code base, what are the code they have been running. You can read their own code base. As continue, so if consider Kubernetes is running on GCP AWS, you can hit the local IP address 169.254.119 169.250. So basically this will give you a service token. So service token of the cloud provider. So using this service provider cloud token, you can check what are the scopes has been assigned. So consider you are only having access to this, but this particular service token has access to compute engine or some other IAM. So what you can do, you can pick this particular token and you can use that to list what are the service engines. Like example, there is an EC2 instance been running. You can check what is the EC2 running in the cloud. So with only this single token, you can directly go there. So and let's secure. So how to secure this? So use least privilege. There should be a network segregation. Check permission for cluster ID, like whether who are all having the access to cluster IP, whether the public can come into your cluster ID, then what are the paths that he can access, and check for open ports, do an application pen testing, unauthenticated dashboard, close them, storing config file, don't store any config files in public repositories, limited pod capabilities, run as a non-root pod, restrict communication between namespaces, restrict access to SSH. And these are some of the tools which you can use, like Trivy to scan container images. So it will basically give you what are the criticals, high vulnerabilities are in the deployed image. OPA gatekeeper, you can enforce the policies. Falco, basically, it will give you runtime like threat detection. If someone came into a pod and someone is running the accessing ENVs, you can create your own policies and it will alert you. You can use Kubebench for CIS benchmarks, StackRox, and KubeAudit. Thank you. So any questions?
Right. Okay. So any questions, guys? Okay. So yeah, thanks Manoj for the session on the securing Kubernetes.